The White Lotus is supposed to be a dream vacation, but it turned into an actual nightmare for Walton Goggins. The justified alum stars in Season 3 as Rick, the grumpy, older boyfriend of Amy Lou Wood's upbeat, younger vacationer Chelsea, and the first 2 episodes revealed his dark history. His mother was a drug addict who died when he was a kid, and his father had been murdered before he was born. So despite staying at a gorgeous 5-star resort in Thailand with his beautiful and devoted girlfriend, his existential dread hit a crescendo in Sunday's episode, The Meaning of Dreams. He self-medicated with weed, forced Chelsea to go to a snake show, and promptly freaked out. He let all the snakes loose, and one of them bit Chelsea, sending her to the hospital. Goggins had the same amount of fun that Chelsea did when she got bit as he was filming all those scenes at the snake show. The actor tells Entertainment Weekly that the experience of shooting with snakes was fearful and anxiety-inducing because he's deathly afraid of snakes. It was FING horrific. It was a horror show, he says. It was a nightmare for me, really genuinely. It was 2 days of like, I can't, and they had somebody right off camera. As soon as I would pick a snake up, I'd bring it over and put it in their arms like, oh my God, and almost FING pass out every time. His co-star would have had a much different experience during those days of filming. It was so fun, she tells EW with a smile. I'm not afraid of snakes at all. Walton is, however. It's his biggest fear, and he's had to, now twice in his career, interact with snakes on quite a high-key level. So I was doing a lot of moral support for him. We wasn't sure how they were going to pull off that scene because it felt like such a big action sequence. And on the day, it did actually feel like that, she adds. It was so fun and weird. So trippy. What is going on? What is this show that we're watching? And Rick, what are you on about that they should be out and be free and biting people? It's all so weird, and it's so haunting as well. I think even though it's really funny, there's so much symbolism in it, and so it feels very mystical. His fear aside, Goggins understands why those scenes were so important for Rick and Chelsea's story as their relationship continues to unfold this season. On a story level, what those snakes represented to Rick is him. He says, they're the villains in the greatest myths of our theologies. That is the serpent, and he feels like that's how society treats him. And it wasn't his fault. His life could have been different. He didn't write the book of his life. Somebody else wrote it, and he was just the main figure in the tragedy of his own life. And it wasn't his doing. He just desperately needs to get out from underneath it. Goggins adds that he can't wait for viewers to finally see how Rick makes that happen. For now, Wood points out how snakes mean something very different about for Chelsea. The symbolism of the snake is so important, she says. There's a song that my dad used to play to me all the time, which is The Snake by Al Wilson, which is really about men. He'd always be like, baby, this is actually about men, not snakes. This woman takes in the snake so on the verge of death, and she looks after him, and then he bites her, and she's like, how could you do that to me? And he's like, you knew I was a snake. I just found the whole snake symbolism stuff really cool. The parallels of that song to what just happened with Chelsea are quite obvious, but Wood wonders if her character will ever leave Rick, no matter how he treats her. This is what's so funny about Chelsea, and what intrigued me so much about her as a character, was how much would it actually take for her to go, Rick? Not great, Wood explains, but she says, you're not going to kill me that easily. I'll keep following you. You've just released a load of snakes. What was that about? But she's very determined. She's so tunnel vision on this man. And she still can't believe that Chelsea wouldn't even get mad at Rick for letting all the snakes out of their cages, resulting in her getting a very painful bite. She's like, oh, you're so crazy, ha ha ha, she adds. But I think it's because she has to. She's decided that this is her life's mission. So it's going to take a hell of a lot for her to veer away from that. We're taking bets now. We'll definitely see her hit that limit later this season.